Welcome to Lost in Elder World, the second installment from Reports from the Elder Front, which is about how our country treats our elderly citizens and the people who are trying to advocate for them. So let's introduce our actors and characters.
Hi, my name's Jeanette Williams, and I'm going to be playing the mom. And I have a dog named Chili.
Hi, my name is Debbie Marr, and I'm going to be playing the role of daughter.
And hi, my name is Gerie Voss. I'll be playing the role of Monique, the niece slash granddaughter, as well as some others throughout the play.
Hi, I'm Darlene. I'll read the caretaker role, which is the daughter's alter ego. So, don't worry about being lost in what's happening. There'll be plenty of references for you to catch up. What you need to know is that this is based on true events. Names have been changed. This is my truth and no one else's. We begin with a middle-aged daughter and her mother. It's her mother's first day in assisted living. Our moment of temporary disembarkment. My body is locked in place by her grip. My eyes are scanning. Port side, the quartet of sweet elders, forks midair, eyes wide open. At the bow, transparent curtains on the windows, the vista outside a Silver Shore's assisted living dining room. A pelican pauses for a moment, its head turns side to side, then flies off. Starboard, six elderly potential new friends for my mom. Aft are over my shoulder, where I want to go, the exit out of this hell.
Just don't leave me a vegetable. That's all I ask.
She squeezes my hand even tighter, like this simple ask is at all in my power. Damn, for an 80-year-old, there's still some strength in her fingers. I pull, attempting to disappear into my mind, trying to be anywhere but here. A thought creeps in, the realization that although most of these folks have cognitive impairments, a daughter peeling her mother's fingers off her hand would remain emblazoned in their memory forever, which in actuality might not be too long. I'm thinking, I'm thinking, anything to escape this moment. I close my eyes. The sea just keeps rocking. I don't know who's more frightened in this moment. Holy shit. This is only me going off to do some errands in the moment, not even leaving to go back across the country to my home. Someone throw me a line. The current is so strong, I want to scream.
Sure.
Even as I think this, I know somewhere in her addled mind, my mother's attempting to hang on.
You're my life preserver.
I'm still pulling away for dear life. You know that feeling. If you give in, you become it. Could our battle have at least happened in private? I want to run and hide from her desperation. My vessel has just as much damage or more than hers from years of chronic illness. Okay, let's take a moment. Back up. So, who knew by the end of the summer our family would be so unmoored? June began with my 80-something-year-old dad falling down his basement stairs, unconscious, in the dark, abandoned until my stepmom woke up and called the ambulance. Now she's adrift. My father handled most of the household, the bills, cooking, and the like. Now her days are spent by his side in the rehab facility, hoping he'll be strong enough. Eventually, maybe even drive again. In July, a slow recuperation on the paternal front. Then I get a call from my mother.
Oh, the cancer. It finally here. It got your stepdad. He's gone. Chili was with him at the end.
So sorry. How are the two of you doing?
I'm worried about Chili. She's not eating.
The choppy sea continued to churn. I take a call from her doctor.
Your mother had a heart attack. She's going to need surgery.
This, the day after her husband was interred. All this streaming into my consciousness like Morse code across the line. They East Coast, me West. How to bridge the gap. My husband, dog, and cat are anchors as I journeyed across the country. So, August, the sun came out for a little bit. My mother recovered from heart surgery at her apartment with Chili. She began her morning. My father returned his home with a walker, stepmom in attendance.
Monique and I are sailors reporting for duty. Where do we begin, Dad?
Oh, the sailors are so hot.
So, not even with the help of my enthusiastic deckmate, my 21-year-old expectant niece, Monique, and her 2-year-old mini me, Daphne, did we make a dent in the clutter in either household. But we had a few giggles and laughs.
So this one time.
Wait till she goes down for a nap. You take that side of the room and I'll take this side. Dad, just go watch the game.
For the grandparents who helped raise her, it was hard to navigate these choppy waters. His household looked like a hurricane had hit, as did my mother's. The unpaid bills piled up, clothes, both clean and dirty, scattered around, a cluster of orange medication bottles, utilities about to be disconnected. The two young assistants are beams of sunshine in the lull between storms, living day to day, attempting to keep their decks in shape. It was such a struggle for the senior crew. A couple of days later, my mom and I go for her follow-up appointment. Her primary doctor can't access the hospital records. So the doc has no idea about what type of heart attack my mother had or any new meds that the hospital put her on. Here we are at the tail end of a long in-person appointment.
I repeat, don't ever drive yourself to the emergency room if you think you're having a heart attack. Do you hear me?
But I live across the street. It's so expensive to call an ambulance.
Care copay for an ambulance?
Never again.
But Doc, I pay $300 for rent. The ambulance ride to go across the street is $250.
No buts. You could have killed someone. Now, any other concerns?
Yes. I want my mom's diabetes drugs changed. The side effects are unbearable.
There's no reason for a change. It's keeping her sugar in check.
Yes, but my mom has stated that she has told you more than once that she soiled herself in public multiple times due to this drug. It needs to be changed.
Now, look, she just had a heart attack, stents put in, and from what you've told me, the other doctors haven't found the cause of her internal bleeding.
She's embarrassed. It needs to be changed.
Look, one thing at a time.
Ugh, Monique, shit. I came out of there feeling so frustrated, Doctor. One thing at a time. I mean, I'm torn about her driving to the ER too. But could my mom be exaggerating about the drug side effects? Could stress be exasperating them?
Damn, I don't know, Auntie.
Can I be a total bitch to a primary care doctor that my mom claims she loves?
Well, I've seen you in action. You can, but you're right. Will it get us anywhere?
Next on the list, call the GI doc to see about the bleeding. We are jumping in at the end of a very frustrating conversation.
Just tell me what you want to do.
I can feel her eye roll over the phone.
I want you to advocate for a little old lady who just lost her husband and who can't do it for herself. If you don't understand, it means calling her primary care physician, then calling her cardiologist, and work as a team to go and get to the cause of this bleeding. She's getting blood transfusions, but her hemoglobin doesn't rise. I'm concerned about the confusion due to anemia, and I don't want her to have another heart attack.
I hang up the phone. If I could, I'd change docs, but there's no time for that. This doc is so young, her parents are probably my age. That's what she thinks when she sees old. I'm tempted to call this doctor back and shout.
Hope when your parents get old, they have an uncaring doctor, just like you.
So before going back home, I put out a call that our mother needed help stat. That was just her and her dog. The SOS was ignored by all but my father and stepmom. I was worried that inclement weather might arrive. The wind did kick up, then a squall a couple months later. October, my mom had a second heart attack. Back east I went. Then, bam, within a couple of days, my arrival, she was hit by an iceberg, a stroke, which knocked out all short term memory.
When do we eat?
Your tray's right there, Mom.
When will I get dinner?
Repeat. Just a few days later, she's in her hospital bed with her dog Chili lying next to her when the social worker comes in to inform her another storm is brewing. Batten down those hatches.
This is the rehabilitation ring, and we'll be dumping you out here in a couple of days.
Well, not in those exact words. That was the gist. In the spirit of being helpful, at least in her mind, the social worker lays out the assisted living options.
To call them else makes them seem easier. St. Joe's doesn't allow dogs. St. Pete's, I don't know. Is the dog a deal breaker?
Really? You feel totally comfortable telling a recently widowed old lady, I'm going to rip your pet away from you too?
Well, not if you can find a place to take them both, and you have 4 days.
This Christ.
My father's signature line from my youth. So, mom's crying, the dog's whining, and the dog's been thrown overboard without a life vest. Her owner too dazed to comprehend the betrayal by the healthcare system. Without us, Chili would have been shipped off to the dog pound or administered the Dr. Kevorkian death shot.
4 days?
What can she afford?
People will be sorting through my things.
Can we get a moving van that quickly?
Oh, just Google it.
I've become a bystander in my own life.
Later that day, there are a few moments of respite with my niece while Mini Me is sleeping. Monique's an expert on cannabis. If only I wasn't driving her and her toddler around, I could have been taking advantage of her expertise to decompress. But no, our smoke signal bonding couldn't have occurred, being she's with child. We attempt another standard way of bonding, gossiping. So she tells me the story. No names were divulged.
So when she performs fellatio on her partner, she's wearing a costume along with a cute little hat, kind of like those British fascinators that the royals put on.
What? Why are you telling me this? Boundaries. Boundaries, I want to say, but it doesn't come out.
So we're living vicariously off someone else's kicks. It's just a quick piece of flotsam to hang on to for a moment. Then everyone goes back to treading water, searching for an ALF that was pet friendly and affordable. Screw the people that thought we couldn't pull this off. Monique became my de facto personal assistant. So we're driving, multitasking, Daphne in the back seat talking on her toy phone.
Auntie, where's your phone? Okay. Therapist name? Okay. Answering machine only. Your turn. You're on speaker.
Things are not going so well on the East Coast. Can we schedule a Skype session?
A day passes without a response, very unlike my therapist. So I'm checking my inbox.
My therapist doctor advised her to take the next month off. Help.
I scream into the ether.
Have you heard the Beach Boys song, Sloop John B?
Uh, no, Sloop? Like Snoop? I'm gonna search for it. What's it about?
These bits are stuck in my head. I wanna go home. This is the worst trip I've ever been on.
Well, just imagine what she's wearing and doing. Come on, Auntie.
Besides Monique and Mini Me, a constant compass in the storm were the texts from my hubby each morning. The myths were addressed to my mother and me, our dog and cat in adorable scenarios, along with sweet messages. He started this campaign during the summer to help heal my mom's grieving heart after losing her husband, then literally to support her after her heart broke. They're little buoys sent to hold us steady. She appreciated the extra attention from July through October. I smiled and cringed. I love seeing the fairies and being thought of, but now post stroke, my mom couldn't see or read them. The sadness is insomnia inducing. Monique is up at all hours. We watch Mini Me sleeping so contently.
The big thing that keeps me up during this time, it isn't the powerlessness I feel with my mom's situation, but it's the sadness I feel for those in the hospital that have no one to advocate for them. Those patients are alone in this darkness. Suddenly, a text from my mom, but given her condition, a nurse must have typed it.
I'm so glad that I have you and Monique preserving my mementos, attempting to recreate my home in a new location, doing your best to keep Chili and I together.
Damn, getting old sucks.
It can. I'm so sad to see the evidence in the trash room. I've noticed even the few times that I visited here that there's no caretaker. Every keepsake and heirloom is pitched by strangers. Wedding photos, hand embroidered pillowcases, family furniture. The permanently incapacitated elder is transferred to an unfamiliar terrain without a single familiar treasured landmark.
Oh shit, you're depressing me. And 3 more months until I can take a good long bong hit.
But there's no time to dwell on that. Holy crap, I've bills to pay. Sign legal documents. Documents that will take my mom away from her apartment. Take away her independence.
Can I do that?
Shh. You don't want to wake Daphne, okay?
The next day, I call my mom's lawyer.
How do I do this? Is there a booklet?
Nah, not Becklet. You'll do fine.
But I'm drowning here.
The last time we updated her will, I added that you kids could sign her into assisted living if necessary.
Great.
So there's no time to ponder or cry over this power that's been bestowed. Just keep streaming forward. Get calls on that to-do list done. Assemble the last-minute moving crew. Find an ALF. Only a portion of her belongings will fit. Trips to the Goodwill and the dump. So when I wasn't demanding things from people, guilt took a firm hold on me and wouldn't let go. Finally, a call from the hospital doctor. We kept missing each other in person and on the phone.
Better if I took my mom home for a couple of days so she could tell us what she wants us to do with her stuff.
Oh, no need. I took my mother-in-law in while I was in medical school while raising my children.
Later, when I got my mom's hospital records, I saw a note from that doctor.
Daughter asks too many questions, hesitates to care for her mother.
So we're going to need more help. How are we going doing on the moving crew? Let's keep calling until we get confirmations. Her grandfather clock isn't going to move itself, especially with my belly. I can't lift shit right now. Daphne can carry the dog toys. No, all right, that's a joke. You gotta chill out, Auntie. Should I try and sneak you some stuff from your dad's medicinal stash? I baked a ton of edibles for him. Trust me, he wouldn't notice.
Wow. You cook, you clean, you're an amazing assistant. I should take you back west with me.
So now I'm calling my father's stepfathers, adult grandchildren, and his children. I've heard wonderful stories about this family, but I've never met them.
This is a little awkward, but I know you've been there for my mom and my grandpa, so that's why I'm calling. We need to pack up her belongings this weekend. Can you join the moving crew?
Monique is standing there, pointing to her head and doing sexy poses. Daphne is imitating her mother. Similar call to childhood friends. Also awkward. So the past 2 years, they had to do exactly the same thing for the husband's parents. Soon after going into assisted living, each parent fell, then died relatively quickly. Nothing like unintentionally opening a fresh wound. Sorry. So, another call to relations I have nothing in common with politically or religiously. The positive we share is doing what's good for my mom.
Cause yeah, it's been long since we've talked. Isn't it amazing how time flies?
Nothing like small talk and cliches to get a conversation going.
Yeah, you've heard about my mom. We need to pack her up this weekend. Take large furniture to a donation center, all that good stuff. I know the two of you were kind enough to help my mom when she moved from my childhood home to this apartment. Are you available this weekend? We can work around your schedule.
In between, Monique and I are checking out pet friendly elves.
Oh, oh shit, we're going to be late for this tour. Can you call them and tell them we're not a no show?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
After the tour,
What did you think?
Oh my gosh, I loved it. I hope she can afford to come here.
Me too.
finally, a bit of smooth sailing. All goes well. Our favorite elf is pet friendly and has a space available. Affordable? Nothing was. Will cost the Medicaid bed bridge downstream. Monique, Daphne, and I stop for lunch. Afterwards, I'm going to sign on the dotted line. I have some anxiety after speaking with my mom's lawyer.
POA.
Power of attorney?
Yes, POA.
She continued in rhyme.
Don't sign your house away today.
Then turned into the Philly girl that she is.
You need those initials each time you sign for your mother, otherwise, your ass is on the line.
Oh, so Monique, Daphne, and I pick up mom and Chili from the hospital. Looking at the paperwork.
Oh, fantastic. This doctor changed her diabetes drug.
Yay! We all head towards my mom's car. We haven't had the car conversation yet.
Wheel me over there, please.
Mom's trying to get the nurse to wheel her to the driver's side. She's not used to being a passenger. We get her in the car, trying to distract her on the ride to her new home. We call my aunt, who can talk up a storm. Her opening question is,
So, now that you've had these health scares, what are your thoughts on God?
silence throughout the car. She continues with,
Do you believe in heaven and hell?
Can you grab the phone, please?
Sorry, we gotta go. Call you
we arrive at the Alf. Mom and Chili are pleasantly surprised with their new studio apartment.
Grandfather clock, Chili's toys. Oh, my kitchen's chefs.
You know, not the appliances, but the chubby tchotchkes that she painted circa 1970s. Monique and I take a moment to appreciate Mom's new home. Damn, it really does look like her former place. We decide to give her a tour of the building. What an idyllic day. Who could imagine that mom didn't balk about being here? There weren't any last minute snafus with the paperwork. Everything is sailing along just fine. Daphne's running down the halls with chili. Residents are saying hello to all of us. Monique's pushing my mom in a wheelchair when we hear a sound. We exchange glances, but keep walking. We hear something else again.
Me, help me.
Uh, did you hear that?
What?
Uh,
Nothing.
uh, is this some kind of candid camera test? We keep moving, like in a horror movie. You don't want to admit there's a problem right away. Please, please help me. This time it's much louder. Monique kicks me and points to where she thinks the sound's coming from.
Sloop John B, my grandfather and me.
I see a door partially open. There's an elderly woman lying on the floor, jammed between a bed and a nightstand, like those commercials from my childhood.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
I run to her, kneel down. She grabs my hand, almost pulling me on top of her, her desperate fear reaching out, looking for anything to cling to while she's drowning. How to get help? There has to be a call button somewhere, but she's not giving me lead way to search. Her hand is tight to mine. Me shouting to an empty hallway isn't going to do anything. I tell her I need to go get help for a moment. Shit, these old ladies may be lacking in some areas. Hand strength isn't one. So I start pulling her fingers away from mine to release her grip. I stand up. Far away on the other side of the room is the call button. I push it. By the time I kneel back down to hold her hand, aides have arrived. Still, the resident won't let go of me. The aides lift her back into bed. Dazed, I put a call in for the ALF nurse for a meeting. I'm wrecked with guilt. So there's so much I don't even know what. While waiting for her, the monkey mind just starts.
Well, the doctor took her mother in. Why don't you move me across the country like your aunt suggested? You're my only girl.
Why don't you handle your own crises while I handle mine? Deal?
What kind of daughter are you?
Asked you what you wanted. You wanted to stay on the East Coast. So what? You aren't happy now?
No.
Oh, so you want me to ask if I can fly or drive a medically fragile woman across the country? No doctor would approve of that right now.
I don't know what I want. I don't want it to be separated from Chile. That's all I know. You make the choice.
Thoughts are running through my head.
Could we find another facility?
I cannot not leave her here.
My plane leaves for home in 3 days.
Where else could we go?
The only other pet friendly elf in her price range was a quarter of the studio, and nothing of her personality or her life would fit in it. Plus, she'd have to share a bathroom. This is the worst trip I've ever been on. I just want to go home. Um, I need to tell you something, and I don't know where to start.
Go on.
We were here giving my mom a tour when we found a woman stuck on the floor crying for help, and her call button was out of reach.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Such lousy timing.
What?
Well, listen, falls are the reality of assisted living. When we give our residents the independence they desire, stuff can happen. This is why we ask, but we can't demand that they wear their beacons. So I will check and get back to you. I bet that she wasn't wearing her call necklace. I'm sorry this happened on your mother's first day, but the positive thing about today is that it's happy hour. It's starting in 5 minutes, and I think it's mudslides this week. Grab your mom and head upstairs.
So my father had come to pick up Monique and Mini Me. So I did just that. Later that night, I'm back at Dad's house. Fox News is blaring from the other room.
Oh my gosh. I wish you could have been there. I was terrible.
Uh-oh. Who are you a bitch to now, huh?
No, no, it wasn't what I said. It was what I was doing.
Yeah.
So it started out that I was helping Karen, the social director, hand out the drinks. And the residents were feisty for their weekly booze fix. I had a cup there, and Karen was slipping me some mudslides, but
Oh, wait. You didn't just grab the blender and start guzzling. I could picture you doing
it's a lot.
that. Hey, look, I'm not being judgy. I'm just agreeing you had a bad week.
Do you remember that quiet guy, Herbert?
Oh, yeah, he's so sweet. He loved it when Daphne sat next to him and held his hand. Oh, shit. What'd you do to him?
Oh, nothing. I we we were starting to run out of the frozen drink, and I set the glass down in front of him, but he didn't pay any attention to it. So when I went around to check on everyone, he hadn't touched it. So
No, no, no. Auntie, you stole his drink?
that wasn't the worst part. I turned my back and I sucked it down. And then he actually spoke and he said, "Where did his drink go?"
No fucking way. What'd you say?
Oh, I couldn't think of anything else besides, well, the mudslides were so potent. So I said, "You must have imagined the drink was there. We ran out."
You did that to an old man. Damn, that's worse than taking ice cream away from Daphne.
Now, don't judge me. It was a desperate deception.
Ah, so my niece and um, we give my mom some breathing space. Let's see how she does before I go back west. We return to cleaning up the mess in the apartment, making calls to turn off utilities, store her car, return apartment keys, cable equipment too, those mundane things that compose one's life. We stopping by to see my father who's slowly recovering. Their household still in disarray too.
Hey, have you been noticing what I've been noticing?
It's not my imagination. I mean, come on. My parents have been divorced for over 30 years.
He's crushing though.
I've never noticed how sparkly his blue eyes are until I told him my mom was getting better.
He's always ready to go visit her. I don't think your mom's really into it though.
Dad's unaware, but my stepmom, she notices. What a perilous time it's been for the octogenarians. So here we are, back to October, back to where we began this story. The do not leave me a vegetable moment. I've had some time to reflect on it. Maybe I just need to go with the flow. Change the perspective, bring a little more humor to our situation. An alternate response to diffuse could have been,
What do you have against vegetables? I've never loved Brussels sprouts, but I am quite partial to cauliflower. They kind of look like our brains. Actually, you kind of remind me of a turnip.
okay, back to reality. Moving forward with the familiar saga. During this time, I'm flyering like I'm at a theater festival, giving everyone documents, power of attorney, advance directives, do not resuscitate, to do my best, not to leave her in a vegetative state. I'm performing my filial duty, as she has asked. Paying bills so insurance won't be canceled or late fees assessed is pure torment.
100320001.
Not enough zeros.
Uh, where and when? I mean, really, if my fair 50-something-year-old eyes can't do it, how can someone with eyes 30 years on do it? I mean, I'm trying to give you money.
Well, we need a power of attorney on file for that.
Fine. Give me your fax number. Meanwhile, how much does she owe? Let's just put it on my credit card.
I can't tell you.
In the middle of the phone calls, my friend texts me. It reads,
Running someone else's life isn't for the faint of heart.
and then there was the fall, the bane of Alfs and families alike. My mother ends up in the emergency room, CAT scan to make sure there's no bleeding in the brain due to her meds. Then admitted to the hospital with a urinary tract infection, both a common affliction in elder world. My aunt calls me.
He's being released.
And no one has called me, and I'm the POA. What part of the word power do they not understand?
I hang up the phone, then call the hospital.
Oh yes, we are a division of that hospital. Who are you? No, her DNR and POA does not automatically transfer.
What?
Months later, I'd find out that when you come into emergency room at a hospital that has your advance directives on file and DNR, all that stuff, the emergency room staff doesn't see the paperwork. In other words, if she were unresponsive, they would resuscitate her, possibly leaving her a vegetable.
What do I need to do? Pin it on her blouse? How about this? Oh, I know. I'll just tattoo it on her chest. I mean, they always give EKGs on the elderly anyway.
My dad and stepmom lend another helping hand by taking Daphne. Monique and I still have a million things to do before I leave. We are now mini me free, so we beg the hospital to keep my mother longer. Who does that?
Only horrible people, right?
Oh, we did it. So you be the judge. The nurse throws us a line, keeping her an extra couple of hours. That night, we arrived to pick her up at the hospital. The antibiotics haven't kicked in, so she's still delirious.
Oh, what? What's my name? Where's my husband?
Grandmama, now that you're single, you need a Bob,
What's that?
a battery operated boyfriend.
It's All Saints nights. We're taking my confused mother back to her new home. Later on, we'd learn the term sundowning. We'll discuss this in the future. The staff and residents are celebrating Halloween a night earlier.
What's my name again?
This is the refrain we've been hearing during the ride from the hospital to the Alf. My eyes are only on the road. My nieces, I don't know. We're definitely avoiding contact. Emotions would just burst out, and we must keep them at bay. As we get out of the car, the Munster mash is emanating from the windows. We roll mom into the building. The first image is one of the staffers wearing a sexy costume along with a fascinator.
Oh, damn, I just peed myself.
Well, all the diapers are at your dad's. You have another thing coming if you think I'm changing you.
And Mia depends.
Len?
The next morning, I find my mother sobbing like a baby.
What's wrong?
Gone. Now I have nothing left of him.
It's gone.
My engagement ring, my wedding ring, the diamond earrings, all that he gave me.
My mind jumps to the logical. Must be at the hospital. Maybe the assisted living took them off, stashed the treasures in the safe before her trip to the ER. So I call my niece, waking her up.
When's the last time you noticed my mom's jewelry?
Oh, honestly, I don't remember.
There's much shouting aimed towards the hospital staff, then the ALF staff. At this point, it's been 3 weeks of nonstop mishigas. My head is going to explode.
Breathe, breathe, breathe.
My face is flushed, burning up. I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack.
Deep breaths, deep breaths. I need to stay out of the hospital.
Chanting my mantra, I make a mental note to bum some Xanax off stepmom the next time I see her.
Oh, yes, we're going to be picking Daphne up from father soon. Thank God.
It's now November. The new month brought a new normal. The jewelry was with a family member who forgot to communicate it to me. Since then, mom has lost and found her jewelry many times. Luckily, the crying has lessened each time it's occurred, or should I say reoccurred. These incidences have moved on to the surreal.
I had a dream of lace, a box, silk.
Eventually she found her jewels in a box in her lingerie drawer. Finally, I was able to fly back home to my anchors. December arrived.
Happy birthday, dear. I remembered the day and to call.
Thanks so much. How are you doing?
Oh,
So bells start going off in my head before I even hear the call waiting sound in my ear. Scrolling across the screen, Ocean Waves Hospital, trying to get a hold of me. My mom's calling me from the ER. At that time, with her cognitive abilities, it was quite the feat. So I say nothing, letting her enjoy the moment. Later, I saw a photo of what happened when she turned her head right into the edge of a wall, then fell. She looked like a boxer down for the count. The black and blue marks lasted weeks. My gift that day was mom officially being diagnosed with Parkinson's. The ER docs were wondering if some of her falls were due to a sudden blood pressure drop called OSH. In other words, when she changes position, her blood pressure just drops. I was asked to call her cardiologist. You noticed they didn't coordinate this. I promptly made the call, got voicemail, left a message, and waited a couple days. Hearing nothing, I called back.
I'm so glad you called back. The other people in the office often delete my messages.
What? How to handle this wrench? Like I don't already have enough to do?
Do I really call and complain? And to who? Someone could actually die because of this. I did have the doctor's cell phone number, but you think my mom would get better treatment if I tell the doctor there's office infighting?
Overall, my mom was doing well. There was still some confusion on occasion.
oh, when's your husband coming by? I think he'd really like this place.
Take it. We'll have to look at our calendar and schedule a flight.
Well, I just don't understand. Why don't you just drive over for a visit? You'd love the place.
I resist the urge to remind her that I live over 3,000 miles away and that I've spent many hours there already, scouting the place, talking to residents, doing surprise visits, sampling their food. I don't want to put her on the defensive. So instead, I reply,
I do love the place. I've seen it, Mom. Monique and I chose it for you.
the daily calls continue. Yesterday, she forgot I live across the country. Today, she's lucid enough to call me because she knows that the holidays are coming. She wants to get her gifts in order. As I listen, I add to the to-do list, send a present to mom and her dog.
How's Chili doing?
We brought her down for pet therapy.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, then a guest brought a dog in to visit another resident. Chili went ballistic.
So I guess I'll be getting a call from the manager later. Anyway, how much would you like me to send to each great grandchild? Okay, my grandkids. Okay, your niece? Great. Older son?
Well, what do you think?
It's up to you. You're in charge.
Never mind the weirdness that I feel in my gut that my siblings will see the names of our mother and dead stepdad on the check, but my signature will be on the bottom line.
Younger son? Me?
I was so tired, I didn't even notice till I actually wrote the checks out that us three kids got different amounts. You want to know the favorite? Well, I'm not going to tell you. So now we're both traveling on the familiar path in Elder World. New environments cause residents to fall, which necessitates rides to the ER. The protocol is due to blood thinners. If no one saw the resident fall to the floor, their head could have been knocked on the ride down. Brain bleeds must be ruled out. Cha-ching, that $250 copay we spoke about earlier. You might be able to negotiate with hospitals for some type of forgiveness or discount. But private ambulances, no go. Did you know you can purchase a subscription with ambulance companies? Sort of like a promotion at a coffee shop. You take so many rides, 10th one is free. I wonder who dreamed up that money-making scheme. Unfortunately, though, the deals only worked in non-emergencies. But now, if the timing was right, my father was well enough to drive his ex-wife to the hospital if needed. What a year. But, we all adjusted, made space. A new addition came into the family. So I returned east to meet Monique's son, check on my mother and her little dog, too. It was another fast and furious embarkment to Elderworld during the polar vortex. The first thing I notice is Mom's hair is nicely dyed and styled, but she's turned into a bearded lady. But there's no time to stop by the drugstore to pick up Nair before I'm going back west, so I call my stepmom.
Do you think you could do me a favor?
Oh, of course I'd do that.
During my mom's 3-month evaluation at the ALF,
So she's doing well on the new diabetes truck? No accidents?
Well, her numbers are great and no side effects. Yeah.
so I make a note to write a letter to my mom's former primary care doctor. Key point: would you have wanted your mother to have an accident in a store?
I need to figure out how to cover it up.
All while you shop for new clothes.
And then you have to find the restroom and attempting to clean it up yourself.
Usually, her clothes were soiled so badly she needed to toss them. The note would end, "Why don't you just shit in yourself and sit in it?" Then you'd experience what she had to go through. In the future, please, please listen to your elderly patients. Back to the current moment.
Now, do you have any other concerns?
Anxiety medicine going. Is she doing better with sundowning?
I told you we'd get back to this. So, sundowning is when patients, most of whom had a stroke or have dementia, experience psychiatric symptoms and behaviors from late afternoon into evening. In my mother's case, as the sun set, agitation set in. She often pulled everything out of her drawers and would destroy things. My mom's MO at the time would be to rip apart the room, then yell at me and the staff on why no one ever cleans at the facility. She'd tell me, "Did we know that each morning her apartment looked like a dump?" I had to try not to laugh.
They don't clean here. You're taking their side. Why don't you believe me?
Um, Another issue that can affect patients of any age, but especially our beloved elders, is hospital syndrome. Their circadian rhythms get mixed up when they're transferred to new situations. especially hospitals where you have many interruptions during the night. It's never completely dark. In less than a month, my mother was at her apartment with her dog, then at the hospital across the street, after transferred to a larger hospital for a specific procedure, then rehab. Finally moved to the assisted living, and now since she fell, a different hospital. It's the transfer to hell that could lead to the merry-go-round to the mortuary. Patients can die of delirium, which is caused from this whole hospital syndrome. Back to our 3-month evaluation.
So your mom is responding really well to the drug. She is so much calmer at night. Any other concerns?
Uh, yeah. Um, why isn't her facial hair being attended to? She can feel it, but with her vision impairment, she can't handle it herself.
The hairdresser legally can't do it.
Well, I'm sure she's not the only one with the problem. My stepmom could do it, but what about all those others who don't have families?
After some brainstorming, the staff came up with once a month, all the ladies will get a shave in order to have a beautiful face, whether they can clearly see that in their mirrors or not. 2 months later, a frantic call from the nurse at the ALF.
Uh, your mom was just taken to the local hospital. Call me later, please.
I call the hospital. I get the ER nurse.
Not here.
Uh, what do you mean? The elf said she was coming to you and you're 5 minutes away.
I'm thinking, what happened? Did they lose my mother?
Check the logs. No ambulances have arrived all night. Try the larger hospital.
I dial their number. They put me through to the doctor.
What's happening?
Well, your mother's unresponsive at the moment. She stopped breathing in the ambulance, and so that's why she was diverted here. By the time she arrived, though, she had started breathing on her own again.
Feeling like a cold-hearted casket robber.
Uh, she has a DNR. Do you see that?
Yes, but if she were to stop breathing again, what do you want me to do?
What the hell? Why is he asking me? He has the DNR right in front of him. Do I dare ask if she's going to come out of this or be a vegetable? What happened?
Well, I don't know yet.
If she stops breathing again, do not resuscitate. Are we clear?
Yeah, yes, we are clear.
Later, I'd find out from the nurse at the ALF and my mother's neurologist that it's common for patients to have epileptic seizures after strokes. Doctors don't want to label it. Who knows why? If they had just told me she had a grand mal seizure and it's common to temporarily stop breathing, then restart, it would have put a totally different spin on this issue. But that's the future. Let's go back to my mom being unresponsive, possibly a vegetable. I call the ALF nurse at mom's assisted living facility.
Oh, I love your mother. Tell me what's happening.
They don't know yet. What did you see?
Well, the aide came to walk Chili, and your mother wasn't responding to her questions. So she came and got me. Chili wouldn't leave your mother's side. Your mom was calm, but her answers didn't make any sense to my questions. So I called 911 and I held her hand until the paramedics arrived. As they were putting her on the stretcher, I told her that I loved her. I told her not to worry. Chili would be taken care of. Then, of course, that I'd call you.
Breathe a sigh of relief. Relief that the ALF nurse addressed my mom's unspoken fears in the exact order. As the flow of relief pours through my body, I'm so grateful that my niece and I found a safe harbor for my mom, and no matter what the future storm held in store for her.
So here, you deserve this cape for being a superhero, for advocating for Mom and Chili. As we look back, you've saved her from social isolation by finding her community. Other residents have benefited by having a pooch present. The ladies are now as clean shaving as the men. What will you accomplish next? A condom dispenser in the rec room? May this cape shelter you from the worst storms as you continue on your journey through Elder World. Going to wrap you up and the end.